And now it's a great pleasure, privilege to welcome to the stage the mayor of the city of Honolulu. Please join me in welcoming Mayor Caldwell.
Hey guys. Thank you. Thank you. Good morning and aloha. That feels really good, coming back and pounding on my chest. How many of you guys are from Hawaii? Raise your hand. How many of you guys are from other parts of America? Raise your hand. How many of you guys are from other countries? Raise your hand. So we got about maybe half-half with a couple smattering from other parts of the world. But as the mayor of the city and county of Honolulu, I want to welcome all of you to this most fantastic place. You know, as mayor, I believe that I'm the luckiest public servant around. Because one, I get to be mayor of this place, the island of Oahu, the city and county of Honolulu. And why do I feel that way? Guys, paddle out with me just out over here and we can get some great surf in a pristine ocean. Find another city that you can do that in. And if you come home with me to Manoa, where I live, 10 minutes from this place, and drive another 6 to the back of Manoa Valley, you can be in virgin rainforest. Find another city in the world where you can find that. But the most incredible part, and the part that I think you understand just by those who live here and those who visit, is we're the most diverse group of people you'll find anywhere in the world, bar none. We're all minorities here, and yet we work together in a very open way. The Native Hawaiians want to hear our stories of how we got here, and we want to hear their stories of how they sailed around the Pacific. That is unique, and I get to be the mayor of the people of this place, which is just incredible. Now, what about this place? It is a small island full of 1 million people, less than 600 square miles. And how do we live better on this very small island? If you see the picture, this is the turn of the last century, downtown Honolulu, with the harbor, this Iolani Palace, the center of our government. When I was born in 1952, there were 450,000 people here. There's now 8,000 short of 1 million. So if you look at the next slide, that's what we have today. And as mayor, I am trying to change how we've grown, which is urban sprawl like every other American city, just going further and further out into our ag lands and up our ridges and ruining our Aina. And so how do we live better on this small island with a smaller footprint? Is through infrastructure. And for me, if you show the next slide, you'll see the infrastructure priorities that we support. But what we're trying to do here is by building better on the ground for the next 100 years, what happens above the ground is much different. So we're doing roads. We repaved almost 1,100 lane miles of roads. We're doing bus route restoration. Yes, we're building rail, and it's highly controversial, but we're staying the course. Because this is about infrastructure for 100 years from now. We're rebuilding our sewer system. So we have greater capacity because we have huge, huge challenges about how do we build more product in the urban core to build so that our kids can afford to live here. And we're restoring our parks that have been harmed and hurt over a long period of time, and now we're trying to make sure that they're restored to their previous glory, so when people come out of the high rises, they can celebrate life together. And for me, I call it a smaller footprint, about being greener. It's kind of how the Hawaiians lived before Cook showed up. There were 800 to 900,000 folks living on these islands, and no Matson container ship brought in food. They sustained each other. Smaller footprint, how do we walk in those footprints and be more sustainable? And so it's using lands better in the urban zoned areas and preserving the outlying areas for ag and other things. So this state has committed to be 100% renewable energy by 2045. That's not that far away. And how do we work towards that goal? One way is we're pushing and have been pushing since 1991 something called H-Power, which is basically you take our garbage, Opala. We generate almost a little under 1 million tons of Opala on this island every year. And my wife worked as the chair of the FDIC under Bill Clinton, and I would hear him say back when he was president, no 21st century city. Remember, he's building the bridge to the 21st century. No 21st century city should have a landfill. That's old, antiquated ways of living. And your land should be used better than for putting garbage or Opala in it. And H-Power is about reducing the need for an everyday landfill because we're burning our garbage. We're burning our garbage, and under my time as mayor, we're now burning our poop. We treat our sewage, and we have what's left is sludge. It's like mud, highly smelly. And we used to put it into our landfill, and of course the people where our landfill lived did not like that. So now instead we have actually built a facility to burn it. But because we're burning so much of our Opala in sludge, we're saving 700,000 barrels of oil every year. Instead of shipping our cash offshore, and we're a capital poor place, we're keeping cash here. And we're generating electricity that we're selling into the grid, and we made over $200 million in profit providing electricity for about 8% of the homes on this island. And because of the success of H-Power and also our recycling of glass and metal and paper, less than 8% of all the garbage you generate on this island goes into our landfill. I don't think any other city has that. And we're on our way to reducing the landfill's need on a daily basis and only keeping it available if we have a hurricane or tsunami and we need somewhere to put our debris. We're not going to stop. We're moving forward. We're going to be as sustainable as we can. Now, I wanted to talk a little bit about one other thing I'm very proud of. I just came back from New York City about a week and a half ago. I went up for the hokulea, chicken skin. I got tears in my eyes. I'm not native Hawaiian, but I was born and raised here. And I felt so much pride when I sat across from the United Nations on the East River and saw the hokulea there with the Hawaiian flag waving. And the story that that tells about being green and sustainable and using the wind to travel and dreaming big and accomplishing your dreams. Powerful, powerful stuff. But while I was up there, I went and saw the Rockefeller Foundation because they selected Honolulu as one of 100 resilient cities in the world. They looked at almost 400 cities around the world, and they picked Honolulu as one of the 100 that they're going to support and help us be more resilient. And we're there with London and Paris and other major cities and smaller cities in Africa and the Middle East. And they're going to actually hire and pay for a chief resilience officer to sit in my office for 2 years. And we are doing a charter amendment right now that I hope the local folks will support, where we're going to create a Department of Sustainability, Resiliency, and Climate Change. And this officer will sit there and head it up. But the Rockefeller Foundation is going to give us resources and know-how to make sure that we are more resilient, not just with sea level rise, which we're having impacts with, but how do we deal with our homeless problem? How do we deal with our stormwater runoff that's killing our reefs and everything else in between? We are so, so lucky to have the support of that. Finally, I just want to conclude with this about resiliency. As mayor, what do you think is the most controversial thing I've touched? It's not rail, even though that's highly controversial. I created the first protected bike lane in the city and county of Honolulu on King Street. And while you guys may love it, I promise you, I get letters every single day from the car driving public that says, what were you thinking taking away a lane of traffic from cars and giving it to a bike? And I tell them why we're doing it. And we're going to do another one on South Street, and we're going to do one in Pi'ikoi. We want to create a grid in the urban core, and we are pushing bike share that's going to be coming so that people ride. And guess what? That bike lane, when you first went up, 400 rides a day in a 12-hour period. We're up to 700 in a 12-hour period. More people are riding, and I know if we do this grid, more and more will ride. We'll be greener, we'll be healthier, and I believe we're going to be like Europe and Asia someday, where we'll use it to get to and from work. So I want to leave with that. I want to thank all of you who are here today and who've been here for the past couple days for caring so much about our small planet. We all need to do our part. And I do believe, by the way, the action is in cities. It's where we do not have gridlock. It's where the rubber meets the road. It's where we can really try things that can make a difference. So I'm asking you to help me as mayor of this great place to be a better mayor, to be a greener mayor, to be a more resilient place. Just like the native Hawaiians were more resilient before white man ever showed up on these shores. I want to thank all of you for caring so much. I want to let each and every one of you know that we love you. Thank you. Have a great rest of a conference out here. And for those not from here, have a blast. Go out into the water. Go for a hike, but be safe. Mahalo and aloha. Thank you.